Welcome back to the Protein Snack Shop, y'all. Today we have a very, very special treat. I would say probably one of the most ultimate acts of kindness you'll hear. So we're just excited to have Kevin and Eric. Eric here coming live from what, Mississippi?
Yes, sir. Hattiesburg, Mississippi.
So I'm going to, when we first heard this story, of course, I don't really cry much, but maybe every once in a while, it brought tears to my eyes. And man, I tell you, it's just so powerful. And I saw Kevin at the gym a couple of days, like a week or two ago. And I'm like, man, I want you guys to tell your story because it is really the ultimate act of kindness and selflessness. So I'm going to let Kevin kind of take it from here, kind of introduce himself, tell a little bit of the backstory, and then Eric, you just chime in as you need to, and how it impacted your life and at the moment and present.
Yeah.
Into the mic.
You get it into the mic.
Yeah.
All right.
It's got to be in your mouth.
All right,
Yeah.
we're in. Well, it's a really easy story. So, Eric and I are in the same industry. And when we went out for this job, we all got it together. They hired 6 of us, which we communicate with every single day. Like every morning, we're all like, good morning. We ask questions to each other in this chat. It's been going on for 9 years.
Awesome.
Straight to this day. Every
Same
morning
6
we
people?
do it. The same 6 people.
That's awesome.
Very cool.
We ask each other questions through it. And it's just like, if you read through it, there's a lot of good mornings. You'd think that we're all like in this real deep relationship, which it is. We got this brotherhood going on, right? And it started almost instantly with Eric. When I met Eric, and let me just kind of paint you a picture. So I come from a very, very small town. I never traveled unless I went to like vacation or Cancun or spring break, but I really never traveled. So I stayed in this little tiny hometown pocket my whole entire life.
In New York?
Buffalo, New York. Yep. From Buffalo, New York. So, a little small town. Everyone knew everybody. So small where my girlfriend at the time, my wife now, I went out without her. And people called her, said, "You know where your boyfriend is right now? He's at this bar." Like that's how small the town is.
We have had that happen, yeah.
Right. Very normal.
Yeah.
So I get out and I get this job. It's in Kansas City, Missouri. And Eric walks in and I just look at him and I'm like, that's one handsome man. That is one handsome man. And then he just started talking and like he just exuded confidence. I'm like, I'm going to hang out with this guy. And we were inseparable ever since. We did our trainings together. We did meetings together. After we got done with our trainings, which was all day long, the first thing we were like, where are we going to go eat? What are we going to do tonight? Right. So we just hung out. We did everything together. We lived in Kansas City for almost, 4 months, Eric?
Close to.
Yeah, close to 4 months. We spent all this time in Kansas City, Missouri. And as a small town kid, I remember the one time we were getting ready to go out. He looks at me and goes, "You're wearing that?" And
heard that one many times.
I was wearing a t-shirt. I had jeans and these work boots. And he's dressed up like, Gucci, Prada.
Like he is today.
He's a sharp dude, right? And I said to him, I go, "Wow, you just dress really well, man." He goes, "You can dress like this too." And then I go, I couldn't. If I went back home dressed like that, I get made fun of. He goes, "Who cares what they really think?" So we spent all this time together. And I'll give you a quick little backstory. And one of the things is I confided in Eric and go, "Hey man, I need some shoes. I need your help." And he goes, "Fine. No problem." So we go out and we find shoes and he goes, "You like these shoes?" I go, "Yeah." And I go, "I bought the shoes." And he goes, "Now we need to get you some pants."
Start from the
bottom up. And it was funny because we worked Monday through Friday in Kansas City and they flew us home Friday night to be with our families.
Wow.
Cool. I had Milana only at that time, my first daughter. Mm-hmm. So I went home, saw them. I got home late Friday. So I had Saturday with them and Sunday night I had to fly back out. Well, I show up and I left my key to the house at the house. So I couldn't get into the house and I had to wait for Melissa to get there. So I'm standing out there. And at this point I have pink pants.
I'm envisioning this.
Shoes. I love it. A nice shirt, a scarf in a knot. And this blazer jacket that he helped me pick out.
Dang, that's pimp.
Eric, can you come to our house? Because he won't listen to me.
Like,
it's a struggle. It's a struggle.
Yeah, he goes, I pull up and Melissa just looks at me and she just starts shaking her head. And she gets out of the car and I go, I left the key and she goes, "Whoa, More importantly, who are
going
you?
on?
What is going on? And I go, well, Eric helped me shop. And she goes, I could tell you couldn't do that by yourself.
Oh, snap.
Yeah, she got me on that.
That's awesome.
But it wasn't until
Kev, you forgot to tell them when we first met, I thought you were just so loud and obnoxious.
I was gonna ask, okay, Eric, now let's hear your side of this story.
Loud person, and Kevin's first interaction with me was, I think I was wearing a pink button down, and Kevin's like, I wanted to wear a pink button down, but my wife wouldn't let me bring it.
I can totally hear you say that.
Out in corporate America, and I remember being I was like, wear what the fuck you want, it's America. You can do what you want, just own it. But
that too.
Buffalo, New York, he had that persona, and I'm the exact opposite of that persona. Kevin's the one who knows no stranger, and I'm the one that barely has any friends. So we were the odd couple. He pushed in, I pushed away, but it was a magnet at the time.
He didn't give you a choice.
Exactly.
You gotta love Kevin. He's not gonna let you know.
He came in for the hug right away, just so you know. I'm a huggy guy.
Yeah. It took a little bit. Now Kevin is still I was just joking with Jen the other day that I said, to this day, Kevin is still literally the only person that I embrace in a hug. Outside, because I'm not a touchy feely kind of guy, but Kevin, it's instantaneous when we're around.
That's awesome.
That love tank.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tank.
I could see that.
No,
He's
he
pretty
did that.
lovable.
He would sit there in a crowd, literally, and I would talk. And for an example, I said to somebody, "Go, hey, ladies, come here real quick," because they were the waiter, waitress. He goes, "Just drop the ladies, please. Just say hey," right? And I would talk to somebody, I get really animated and really loud, and I'd look across the room, I'd see him, and he'd go like this.
I feel this right here is our relationship.
Yeah. So, man. But
I'm always Sonny, you need to take it down a few notches. It's always too soon.
Yeah,
Babe, too soon.
always too soon.
Always too soon. Or he'll look at me and he's like, is it too soon? I'm like, it's too soon.
Eric used to do does Sonny do this to you where you start talking and you make eye contact? Eric used to do this to me. He'd look at me and go,
yep. Yep.
And wouldn't say, just shake his head really short, really quiet.
Or the kick under the table.
Yeah. And I would just shut off in mid
Yeah,
conversation.
there's one time we were at dinner with some execs, and Kevin was being Kevin and oversharing. And midway through the conversation, and he was sitting right next to me, and I know where he's headed with the story, and I'm like, not a good road to go down. And we made eye contact, and I didn't even have to move my head. It was more just an eye gesture, and it was like a robot. I unplugged.
Yeah, C-3PO just out.
Yeah,
You're like,
lights out.
You just
shut. Boom, down.
I need to teach you that trick.
But this all makes more sense.
Yeah.
Right now, here, let me kind of go a little fast forward a little bit. Let's fast forward. I think it was almost a year into it.
Mm-hmm.
So we've known each other for over a year, and we're talking, we're communicating, we're doing all these things together. And, talk about, Eric's kidney issue that he had, and he kind of kept it to himself. He kept it to himself. He didn't tell anybody. He didn't tell any of us in the group. He just kept it to himself. He's very private. Which, thank you for doing this anyways. I appreciate that. I know that it's not the easiest thing to do or to talk about. But I remember I was talking to him. He would call me up every now and then, and I kind of heard something in the background. I go, "Where are you right now?" And he goes, "I'm getting dialysis." And I'm like, for what? What are you talking about? And he's, kidneys are just not healthy. That's all. I'm just doing some preventative stuff. I'm like, okay, cool. No problem. And time goes on. And then he kind of opened up to me and told me what the truth about it. And, maybe Eric, you have a better vantage point on that time or the stuff that you were going through, if you wanted to get into it or not. Feel free to jump in if you feel that,
Honestly, the whole point was I was in, I was wholesaling cars and having fun and living life and making a ton of cash. I got diagnosed. A friend of ours who's an endocrinologist. I've known him for forever. And I was just doing routine blood work. and because he has to have my blood work on file every year for what we were doing. And he got the test results one time, and he didn't want to alarm me, but my girlfriend at the time, was the one who recruited him to the area, and they were having private conversations behind my back. And he was telling her he needs to go see the nephrologist. Like, he was worried, but he didn't want me to know that he was worried. And so I went to go see the nephrologist. They said, you have this incurable disease. And so I had to digest that for, it took a moment to digest that information, that like this was the progress of things that were going to happen. Like, I knew like my life was predetermined at that point. But friends like Pascal told me, like, listen, you need health insurance, because being 1099 employee, you're out having fun, but you don't realize like shit happens, and getting sick's very expensive. And so I happened to go to a conference in Vegas, and I happened to meet a guy that I knew from Pat. He's like, dude, I need your help. You speak dealer speak, technology. We're going to meld those two worlds together. And that's how I even got to be in Kansas City at the time as Kevin. I had no intention of going back to the corporate world. It was because I needed insurance, and I thought, oh, well, this is perfect. Like, I can work from home and be sick and have good health insurance. And that's when I met Kevin, and my whole world kind of changed.
How old were you at the time, Eric, when you got this information?
35 when I was first. And so, and I was into bodybuilding, and my biggest, I was 250, really leaned out, and that's why I was going to the endocrinologist, was because we were trying to be all legit about everything and make sure that I was still healthy. And that's how I was just blessed with this effing disease. And, but then Kevin came into my life, and who knew where that path was going to take us, but it did. And so I didn't want, anybody's pity or sympathy or any of that BS. So I just kept, the trials and tribulations of it to myself until, I found out, Kevin and I became closer, and we became closer almost instantaneously. And then it was about 9 months, a year into it, is when I, kind of opened up about, having to go on dialysis. And that was another milestone that I had to cross, is accept that part of my life, and working while I was still dialyzing, and not admitting defeat, but being out on the road, traveling, hanging dialysis bags in the car, and brain bag between my feet, below the driver's seat, and not telling anybody, it sucks ass, having to do that. But like, I had a job to do, and I was going to do the job, and Evan was always there for me. And then, unbeknownst to me, like, he was being deceptive, and he was communicating with my girlfriend, and he was getting tested without me knowing, because I kept pushing everybody away. Like, I'm not an ask for help kind of guy, and he was the whole time pushing his way in, without provocation, without being asked, just because he's a good friend. And he's the best friend.
That doesn't surprise me about Kevin. The little bit I've got to know about him.
That was the hug. It was the hug. It all starts at the hug.
So tell us your side, Kevin. I mean, it's doing it again. My eyes are sweating. You cannot make it through this story without that happening.
No, it's a beautiful story, and I think the blessing part is it was never a question. So, I mean, so kind of how I felt when I heard it, I'm like, this is my boy, when he's saying that we hung out, we were with each other every single day, and we I'm an extrovert. Like, I'm going to give you 100% of my love. And if you feel that I can't trust you, then I'm going to kind of push you a little bit back. With Eric, I gave him that 100% of, that Kevin love. And he's kind of like very similar to Melissa. We kind of joke about it to this day, where Melissa's very organized, and she's very goal oriented, and if she wants to do something, she's going to do it. And Eric's the same way, and he's very very detailed and very precise in every aspect that he does. And when I heard this, in my heart, I'm like, this is it. I'm just going to do it. And
so you're doing all the testing. You already, because like he just said,
yeah,
you're having to, so you had to get his blood typing, all of that kind of stuff from his girlfriend.
Found out. And then when the doctor called me up and goes, you're like a 96% match,
which is
blood and tissue,
huge.
Which was really huge. And
yeah.
And I said, so it would take, and he goes, yeah, we do these up to, I think he said like 40% match.
Yeah.
Wow.
So
yeah, that's a huge, my dad had a kidney transplant, so I've been through the same.
Yeah. Oh, you
yeah.
Okay.
My dad did. Yeah.
Oh, God bless him.
Yeah.
So through this whole process, when I found that out, I'm like, I'm done. I just went to Melissa and I said, I did it and I'm a match and we're going to do it. Now, she was 8 months pregnant. So the timing was not right for her, but she was pregnant with Penelope at the time, and she's like, "You're gonna do what?"
Yeah.
When? I said, "I think we're gonna go in it was a month or so," and she goes, "All right." So I went down. I visited Eric. I met him at the hospital, and he kept looking at me, and I remember him I got a picture of us, and then we're in the elevator. And he turns around, puts his hands on my shoulders and goes, "You don't have to do this. You don't. I'm okay. I'll be fine. You don't have to do this." And I'm like, "No, I want to." He goes, "Are you sure?" I'm like, "Yeah." And he goes, "Well, why?" And I go, "I don't know. I don't have it. It just has to get done. It's just one of those things I couldn't just say no to." And, even joking, so it's kind of, so we went through that whole process. Now comes the day of the surgery, right? And this is where I kind of come unglued a little bit too. I remember sitting, I put my gown on, I'm sitting there at the table, and then Eric walks into the room in his gown. And, I kind of just looked at him and, this whole entire time, not one time did I ever question anything throughout the whole thing, even to this day. And I just knew what was going to happen, right? And I lost it. I started crying. He started crying. We hugged each other, and we sat there, and we took a picture, and our feet were crossed the same way. Our hands were the same way. Our head was tilted the same way. And, our hair had the same hairstyle at this time. It was kind of funny. It looked like we were brothers. And, we went through that, and I remember that they started giving us the medicine. They put us on our own beds. Right. And they gave us the medicine for it and to kind of calm down and, get ready for to be put under.
Yeah.
And they put us in the back, and I'm starting to see fuzzy buzz, everything's kind of getting all buzzy, and I'm starting to talk, and I'm chit chatting with the nurses, and where are you from? I can only imagine. Like, this girl's, I'm from upstate New York. I'm like, no, me too. And we started talking, and the drugs are kicking in. Right? You've ever seen those videos where the kids come out with wisdom teeth, and that's how I was acting from what I've been told. I'm like, we're gonna go out to lunch together, and what's going on? And then all of a sudden I hear, that must be Kevin. Right. And I look over, and everything, and I have good vision, but everything started looking like I was cross-eyed. I couldn't see anything. And I was fighting being put down like a dog. I was fighting it. And I look over and I go, "Eric, is that you?" And he goes, "Yeah, it's me." I go, "Wiggle your feet." He wiggled his feet. He was like, we were toe to toe in the room, and I saw him over there, and he was just laying there, and we're feeling pretty good. I mean, these drugs are great. Right? And then I woke up, and like nothing ever happened, and everything was just done and over with. I was in the recovery room, and Melissa was in there, and everybody was in there. And, I always says, "Where's Eric? Is he okay?" Right. And I didn't say anything stupid coming out, but I was sure saying some dumb stuff going in. Just from that point of view, I mean, and I remember they wheeled me right after I woke up, and they wheeled me over to Eric, and I just want to make sure that he was good. Right. Because that was my biggest worry. I just want to make sure he's good. Right. So they wheel me in there. Well, I'm probably drooling. We got a picture of it, of it. But, I'm holding his hand. He's holding my hand. I'm crying like a little girl. And he was just coming out of it because I came out of it before he did. But, the doctor said, got good, healthy kidney, real big, real pink. And they put it right here on the right side of his abdomen.
Very incredible.
Now the recovery from my father got his kidney from somebody who had passed. There was actually like, I think 5 people on the same floor as my dad that all got different parts of this guy. They all got their pictures taken together, which is really cool. But from somebody giving up a kidney, your recovery is quite a bit more than the person who received it, because they've got to go through your back, right?
They did an amazing job. Mine was fast recovery.
It was?
Yeah, Eric had a little bit tougher recovery than I did.
Okay.
They went orthoscopically through my belly button.
Oh, wow.
So I have 3 incisions on the side, and one was air. They blew me up to make easy access around. The other one was like a light and camera, and they went in from my belly button about 3 inches up. I have a small little scar you can barely see because I'm a hairy beast like you, Sonny. So you can't see it. And then they went in through there, and that was it. I mean, I was standing up ready to walk after waking up. So I felt fine. It was just air. But that's it. I didn't have any pain. I didn't experience any discomfort. But the only problem I had through the whole entire thing is, of course, I had a catheter in.
Oh, those are the worst.
The worst, right? The worst is the lady that came to pull it out was very beautiful. I mean, she was like, I was like, she's like, I go, you? And she's like, yeah, we're going to take this out now. I'm like, no. I didn't.
This is awkward.
This is awkward.
Yeah.
You know, she did the 1, 2 and pulled on. We're going to go out to 3 and did it on 2, right? So I wasn't. But that was the worst part about the whole thing.
Every time I hear that, it's like the catheter is the worst. Eric, tell us your side, brother. Just kind of walk us through.
Well, so like where Kevin kind of started his story was the night before our surgery was the first night I met Melissa. And, you know, my family's there and Melissa's there. And, you know, because like what Kevin said was like when he told me that he's a, 96% match, he goes, but we got to do it fast, brother. He's like, Melissa's 8 months pregnant. I got to be back and, be able to help her with the baby. And so I was like, crap, we moved fast at that point. Like it was what, Kevin, under a month between when you told me and when we had the surgery.
Oh yeah. Easy. It was 3-4 weeks.
Wow. Yeah.
Easy.
And then, I never met Melissa before. And so Melissa's there, and we go out to dinner the night before, and then we're all at the hospital at like 5 a.m. or 6 a.m., whatever, super early. And I remember feeling bad for Melissa because like she's sitting there and she's worried about Kevin and I'm worried about Kevin. And, all I could do is tell my parents I'm take care of her, make sure she's okay. And then, Kevin and I get back into the like prep area. And, like you said, we had the picture with our gallons on and our matching like compression socks and the whole deal. And they wheeled Kevin back first. I wear glasses and contacts. So obviously I didn't have my glasses on, so I can't see shit. I can't see anything in front of me. And they're wheeling me back and all. I'm trying to George Costanza it, and I'm trying to squint it. And every time I pass a pair of feet, I'm like, is that Kevin? Is that Kevin? And they wheel me back to a room and they start getting me like prepped and having me take the medicine. And then I can hear Kevin, saying those exact same things that he was just telling you. I'm like, there's Kevin. Him, talking with the nurses and everything. And then the next thing I know, we get wheeled back. I got wheeled back, I believe first, right, Kevin? I think
yes.
I remember sliding myself onto because I looked at him and said, like, listen, I can do it myself. I'm not helpless here. So I put myself onto the table. And all I could remember was like, man, everyone here is going to see me naked. That was like the last thought I had going out. And then I remember waking up at some point in recovery room. And the only question I asked is, is Kevin okay? And so then I literally, I don't remember anything after that until literally I'm waking up. It's dark out, mind you, we get in there at 6 a.m. So it's dark out at this point, and they're wheeling Kevin in, because I'm awake at this point. And the only sensation I could feel, like I was asking, like, where's Kevin? Where's Kevin? And they're, they're wheeling him in a wheelchair. And the only thing I could ask him was, I was like, do you have a catheter in too? Cause I don't know how to pee, and I got to pee so bad.
I'm telling you, the catheter was the worst part of the whole thing.
There's the most traumatic part of the whole deal, to be honest. Like there's whole stories behind the whole catheter thing. Cause it's like I need to pee, but nothing's happening. Like, what do I do? But then, the nurses couldn't find us. Like, they couldn't track us down. Like, I'm a terrible ICU patient anyway, because they had me in ICU. They had Kevin outside of ICU. And so, like, I'm like, listen, the guy next to me, can you get him to shut up? Because he's just whining and moaning. And they're like, well, there's not much we can do. I said, well, if you don't, I will. And so, so they had to, like, close his door and close my door. And then when, by the next day, almost, I think it was by the next day, like, nurses couldn't find Kevin in his room. They put out, like, an all points bulletin on me because I left ICU, walked to Kevin's room, and
we both tried to find each other. Kevin.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Oh my gosh, that's hilarious.
Totally rogue in the hospital.
Yeah, and they're like, well, oh my God. And then they start freaking out because they couldn't find me. And, when an ICU patient goes missing, it becomes like a big deal. And they're like, Mr. Black can't leave the room. And I'm like, I'm going to go wherever I want. Thank you very much. And I was like, you guys should know that if I'm not in my room, I'm in Kevin's room. Like Kevin said, like, I don't know if mine, I feel like Kevin's was a worse recovery than my recovery. Mine was good. Like, I just have a large scar in my abdomen, like what Kevin said, in my lower right quadrant. And the hardest part was just because they had to cut my ab muscles, that for a while. Out of that, like, is my, like, literally the urine output is what they test off of. And they're like, so your urine output's off the charts. And like, I was like, well, when can we go home? And they're like, it's going to be a few days. And so then Kevin and I get discharged, and Kevin, you had already been discharged for a day or so before I got
about a day and a half.
Yeah. And, so everyone comes back to the hospital, and Kevin's like, well, I want to drive you home. And I'm like, okay. So, mind you, my girlfriend, parents, I think Melissa had already flown back to Buffalo.
She flew back. Yep.
And they're like, all right, just go straight home. And, and mind you, it hurt to sit, it hurt to stand, but I was tired of laying down. And Kevin and I ended up, I think where did we stop at? Best Buy to walk around and nobody
just to do something. We didn't want to go back to the house. We just knew we'd sit there the whole entire time.
Yeah.
So we stopped at, I think it was Best Buy.
I feel like my whole insides were hanging by that time. I felt like, all my insides were, like, hanging out, and I was just holding on because I was like, and she's like, I told you, you guys don't overdo it, and you overdo it, and, get a lecture when we get home. And then Kevin stayed with me for, 2 weeks?
It was about 2 weeks.
Yeah, about 2 weeks. And we ate Oreos and watched TV, and
it was amazing.
Kevin and your Oreos.
The real there's one detail that I was working out real heavily at the time, and I had to lose 30 pounds to do this.
In a month?
He's like, well, because the size of me, right? Mm-hmm. So it goes off, like he was saying, your urine, which is your creatinine levels, mm-hmm. right? So if you have high protein, that means your kidneys aren't filtering out those proteins and your body's passing them, right? So for me, I was 280 at the time, or 285. And they're like, well, your creatinine levels are, like, a little high as it is. But I was doing protein shakes. I was doing chicken. I was eating 5-6 times a day at that point. And so I had to cut back just a little bit. So during this time, after the surgery, we go back to his house, and there's Oreos and ice cream and everything. And I didn't even sit down. I just stood over the sink and just
Kevin.
And then I found this new thing, right? Eric loved this one. I took a bowl, filled it with milk, and just took, like, a sleeve of Oreos and just dumped them in there and ate them with a spoon all side.
Well, what was that we had going to Zoe's Kitchen. I don't even know if it's still around.
Oh God. Yeah, it is downtown.
They make chocolate cake, and they would have individual servings in those little plastic containers. And Kevin would literally open the plastic container and just pour milk in with the cake.
It was amazing.
Like
talk about a snack shop.
This is not surprising at all with you, Kevin.
Kevin's a food innovator.
Yeah.
You know?
Yes.
We can figure something out.
Like I bought like a whole cake worth in individual pieces.
It was amazing.
So it was like 12 pieces, all individually boxed, so Kevin could have his bowl of cake.
Yeah, we were really healthy.
And eat it too.
Yeah, the recovery was healthy.
Sounds like it. Yes.
So how long ago was this, guys?
Oh God, we're hitting 7 years this year, Kevin.
Yep, 7 years.
How are your kidneys all doing? Like both your kidneys doing great?
Yeah, like mine's are perfectly healthy. I take my meds, twice a day, every day.
Anti-rejection.
What's that?
Are you on anti-rejections?
Yes, of course. Yeah. So there's a couple of those, a couple blood pressure medicine because the kidney regulates the blood pressure. I live fairly clean. I don't overconsume protein. I still go to the gym and I still consume protein, but not typically. If I take protein, it's usually the specific type called Protein Gold. It's all collagen protein. The nephrologist recommend it. The plastic surgeons usually recommend it because it's so high in collagen. Everything has been good. Like I waited 2 years after surgery, and Kevin had moved to Nashville at this point, or Murfreesboro, and I needed to go. Like I needed to, I've been given a second chance. Kevin gave me a second chance at everything. And I was like, I can't just be. I said, I have to go after everything because I was given this. And so I knew that the hardest part of me going was having to tell Kevin, that I was going to move, 8 hours south, to follow, my dream and make it happen. And so that's what I've been doing ever since.
So you guys are 8 hours apart. Yeah. Because I met Eric, you together 3 years ago.
Just,
Yeah,
we're always together.
Still the same company?
No.
Okay.
No. Let me fill in on this. So from my vantage point or my lens, Melissa at this point was like, we just had the worst winter in history. It was like -4 degrees the whole month of February. And we said to each other, like, this is it. We got snowed into the house. I'm like, I can't handle living in one of the highest snow areas. And Melissa lived in Florida for 6 years. And so she's like, oh, I want to go back to Florida. And I'm like, I don't want to go to Florida. And then, so we started talking about places to live. And I go, what about Nashville? So she's like, we'll see. So she had all these job applications and threw them all in. And they all came back from Murfreesboro. And all of them said yes. So she's like, well, I got to go down and meet these people now. So we flew down. She did their interviews. We came back, and we're doing this separately now. And at this point, she's like, I guess we're moving to Murfreesboro, however you say that, Tennessee. And I'm like, okay. She goes, where are we going to live? So I call up a real estate agent. And I go, I need a rental property. And you got to understand one thing, like from New York, the cost of living in Tennessee at this point, we're talking 7 years ago. Cost of living is different down here. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, yeah, how much do you want to spend? And I told him, I'm like, I don't know, like on $2,000 right around there. I'm like, oh, you can get a ton for $2,000. I'm like, what? We came from like a 900 square foot apartment for $2,000, and we wound up getting this whole house. Right. And I'm like, oh goodness. So we move here. He tells me, I got this job opportunity. I'm like, go do it, dude. Go. And he's been killing it ever since. Not only did he just build this company, then now he's moved from that company, and now he's running multiple points businesses right now. So he's living his dream. He's doing, he's just killing it, man. I couldn't be more proud.
Oh.
That's amazing.
How about you guys talk at least a couple times a week, right?
We text a lot. We text often. You know, sometimes we get caught in our day to day, and you know, I live and work in the same place. I work from home, so everyone who thinks that's an amazingly glorified position, it's not. You know, the first couple months you're great, but you know, then you really, it shows how well you can work alone. You know, I still do that, so I don't get out a whole lot, and you know, my days are, you know, over and over the same thing every single day. Eric is.
You're not traveling as much anymore, right?
No, we just got permission this year or last year to travel once a month, so we're back traveling a little bit.
Okay.
But no, he's killing it. Eric's killing it. He's doing fantastic. He's running multiple dealerships around the country, and he's doing fantastic.
So you guys are both still in the car business in some way, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
So Eric is he's a general manager of a bunch of different dealerships. Is how many are you? Do you have
7?
7.
Wow, that keeps you busy.
Yeah. So I probably got to cut it short, guys, because I have a general manager meeting going on right now. Kind of just bailed on him to do this. So, Kevin, I love you, man.
Me too, brother.
Thank you for being here today, Eric.
So
this
much
has
for
been
tuning
great.
in. I mean, I can hear that story 100 times, man.
Man, try living it. It's surreal. I don't even think of anything but what's ahead because of what Kevin has done for me. I wouldn't be here without him.
Oh, man.
Hey, I wouldn't be here without you. I mean, look where I am. Look, my life's changed amazing since it. So appreciate you too, man.
Yeah, brother. Thank you. Best wishes to you too, buddy.
Love you. Sonny, it's good.
Love you, man. Thank you for stopping in, sharing your story.
Talk to you, everybody.
Bye. Wow, okay.
That's pretty cool, right?
It's amazing. You're amazing. I don't care what
I'm
you
not.
say. I know you're humble about it. That's not an easy thing, man. It's not like I just, did something small. It's a lifelong decision of selflessness. And
it is, and it changes your life too. Like you can't just live a normal life after doing something like that. Like there's things you've got to watch out for.
Yeah, I can't eat a lot of protein. You know, my body will just get rid of it, and that puts more stress on one kidney. You know, the COVID, staying at home and not doing a whole lot didn't help out at all. Neither did I call it the COVID 30, freshman 15, COVID 30, so that also happened too, and we just had fun. I mean, my life really hasn't changed. I just have to be very cautious of supplements that I take, whether it's too much protein, I can't take creatine, stuff like that. So I just have to be very well aware of what I supplements I take. But
is that how you got to know Dr. Pascal then too?
Yeah.
Through this whole, was it through Eric?
It was through Eric. And when our blood work was coming back from the doctors, we had to go to him because he's the one that is very dialed into numbers. He's very extremely intelligent. When he sees something, he just knows it. And he caught Eric's, and then I made sure that he was getting all my blood work from that point forward. So he monitors my blood work to this day.
Yeah, I know you speak very, very highly of him.
I do. Yeah.
On a personal level too. Some of you guys he's really good friends.
Yeah, he's a great guy. He's extremely intelligent. He's got a lot of similarities in our stories growing up. But this whole experience really, to sum it up, it changed my life too. It's not just him. Yeah, he has a different outlook on life. And I'm blessed for that. And from me, I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't know you. I wouldn't know.
I'm very blessed by it, man. I love you.
We met you shortly after all that happened.
Yeah.
Had to have. Yeah. What, like a couple years, right?
It was just a couple years after. Yeah.
Because you had that house party, right?
It was for Penelope's first birthday.
Right.
We all came to, and you met Eric there too. Yeah.
That's when we first met him and heard the story.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I think how I met y'all on this was mostly because of that too. We moved to this area, as I was saying. I just called the real estate agent, told him this is what I need, and he said, "Here's a place for you." And I just took it. I didn't even look at it. We never saw it. We pull up, and we're like, "Okay, now we're all settled in." A month or two go by. We have to take Penelope and Milana, our kids, and they have to go to daycare. And right around the corner on the same block was Murfreesboro Day School. And it just opened that location.
Yeah.
I remember that. And I remember the story because the kids kept calling you Mr. Josh,
Mr.
right?
Josh, yeah. Which was,
Josh.
if you ever meet Josh, this is flattering. Okay. It's pretty flattering. I mean, but with John, Brooke came up and she goes, "Oh my God, you remind me of my husband." Now I come from a small town. Okay. And I saw this and I was like really excited. I'm like, really? Like, okay.
He must be a cool guy then.
Like, all right. And she's like, do you have a gym? I'm like, no, I don't. And she's like, you need to go to Gold's
and work out with
my husband. I'm like, okay. So there's something in the North that's not very common, but a lot of people do it. It's almost like when you see each other, you're like, no, I had a good time. We should hang out together. Yeah, you call me. Yeah, no problem. I'll call you. I'll call you tomorrow. Like, and you never call each other, right? And that was just something that was very. I've done a lot, and Brooke gave Josh my number. Josh called me, and I was traveling. He goes, let's switch some. Let's switch the time. Let's go to this day. And then I had something happen to me. I think I could say it on this thing. Right?
Yeah, you can say whatever you want.
So I wound up detoxing. And I'm doing a whole detox, and I wound up having like this boil on the side of my butt cheek, right? And it was painful. Like every step I took was tearing. So Josh calls me up the next day after this happens, and he goes, "You ready to go to the gym?" And I go, "Man, I got this boil." I go, I'm out this week, but I'm going in tomorrow for surgery and maybe the next week. He goes, I'll call you. And I'm like, I'm never hearing from this guy again. And he calls me up the next week. He goes, you ready to go to the gym? And I'm like, yes, I'm ready. So he takes me there. We start working out. And as soon as I see him, I'm like, I look like that guy.
Oh, that was the first time you'd seen him.
The first time I met him.
Oh, wow.
And then he started working out with me. And then we did legs the first day.
Of course
you did.
And then he calls me up. He goes, you ready to do it again? I'm like, yeah, let's go. And he's like, really? I'm like, yeah, okay. We went second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day. And he goes, man, you're the longest person that's lasted. I'm not going anywhere. He goes, well, we'll see. We're doing legs again. No, we did legs. And he goes, you ready tomorrow? And I'm like, yeah, I'm ready tomorrow. He's like, all right. And we worked out together for, I think it was almost 4 years.
That's crazy. Well, that's kind of how she met Brooke.
That's almost exactly
Josh.
how Brooke and I met. Yeah, Josh and I had met each other at the gym. And then he saw me at Target one day and he's like, I've seen you at the gym before.
You'd work out with my wife.
I was like, yeah.
I forgot.
Yeah. I was like, yeah. And then he's like, you need to meet my wife. And I was like, okay. And then I met her for the first time. Like
that's their line.
Yeah.
You need to meet
I think it is too.
Wife.
You need, yep. Because then I said that to him. I'm like, well, you need to meet my husband. So then we got to the gym and Brooke is like, oh yeah, my husband told me about this. The girl, she called me the girl with the hair because I had my big ponytail. And she's like, oh yeah, I knew who you were, the girl with the ponytail, the girl with the hair at Target all the time. And so, and the first time I met her, it was just like a couple of weeks before her first show. And I walked up to her and I was like, hey, I'm Dana. And she's like, I really want pizza. That was the first thing out of her mouth. I'm like, how are you feeling? And she's like, I want pizza.
I want pizza.
And I was like, it's nice to meet you. And then we met you at her show.
Yes.
That was right after I had my feet surgery.
That's right.
And then you walked up. Yeah. That's funny.
And it's always interesting, like, God having his hand in bringing you two together in that story. It's like, I don't believe in coincidences. Like, just we somehow ended up in the same place, especially with the 96% match,
Yeah.
Like that's unheard of.
That's like winning the lottery.
Yeah, it was
really
fantastic. You just said it. God's got a plan, and who would have thought the domino effect of that in a small town, meeting somebody in Kansas City, Missouri, to how our relationship grew, to what we did for each other. Because it really is. It's not one way. It's both ways. It set my life in a completely different course.
Yeah.
It put me in a position where I've traveled, and he helped me become more calm. He really did. I mean, I was really loud and I would just blurt out things that like, why would you say that? And he during the time that we were friends and we were always friends, but while we were in Kansas City, he was like, calm down. You don't have to say those things. Like I'd walk down the thing. I was like, what's up, boys? And he's like, you just drop the boys. Just like, why you have to be extra? Just calm down. And he really helped me out. Not only with like clothes, but like talking to people and things to say. And there's a time to say things. And I listened to him, and I'm a visual learner, and I just listened and watched and paid attention. And now I live here, and I met y'all, and I met
we feel very blessed to meet you.
Yeah, I'm blessed too. I mean, you're all great people, and not only as people, but business owners. You started Protein Snack Shop. Remember when you first started that? And, it's, when we found them over at the nutrition factory. And I was like, oh my gosh, sending pictures and posting them.
Posting them.
You and Melissa have always showed us a lot of love. Still do. Still do.
Oh, yeah.
Still do. Well, man, I can't thank you enough for taking time out of your day, and
my pleasure,
Eric too, and sharing your story. I know some things aren't easy to make public, but I just felt like, man, people need to hear this. I mean, we have so much selfishness in the world. I feel like everything is, what can I get out of somebody? And I always think your story, I'm like, man, that is the ultimate act of selflessness and kindness, man. So thank you so much.
No, I appreciate you, man. Yes. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. It just doesn't really change your life at all, but it really does. It changes your life.
It really does.
If you accept it. And look where I am today. I couldn't be more happy.
Well, best wishes to you for 2023, man.
I appreciate it. Happy New Year, all.
Happy
Thanks,
New Year.
Man.